Okay, I am Edra Perry, reading coach at Payne Primary,
And I'm Amy Inman, first grade teacher at Payne Primary.
and we are planning for a lesson on scaffolding. And so Amy and I have talked about the needs of the students, and she has noticed some things. What have you noticed about your students?
I have noticed that they really need, well, first of all, we need to work on the short I sound. And I've noticed that some of them are getting frustrated, so I need to work on some strategies.
Okay, so we're going to work on some strategies for frustration when they're independently working at your table?
Yes.
Okay, and one thing we talked about was the table tap method. Okay, so how do you feel about that? Do you think it's a good strategy that you should try?
I think this sounds really good.
Okay.
Sounds like a great strategy. For some of them who tend to have meltdowns.
Okay, so that's a good idea. And another strategy we talked about was when they come to a word they don't know.
Right.
So we could work on some things like the read, spell, read method.
Okay.
So we could use that. How do you feel the read, spell, read method would work? What pieces of your intervention would that work with?
Especially with sight words. I think that would be a really good strategy to use for sight words, especially words they might not recognize.
Good. I agree. And you can work that into any intervention lesson and actually teach them that strategy. Now, did you feel like after looking at the data that the short I was something that they needed?
Definitely.
Okay. So what do you want them to be able to do when they leave your table? Or to practice? What do you want them to practice on their own at their table?
I want them to practice reading the codable. I want them to be able to read through it, even if they're frustrated with it. I want them to be able to read through it without me intervening constantly. Yeah.
I agree. I think that's good. And we've come up with a good plan. We think that we're going to work through a short I lesson. We're going to build in the table tap method and the read, spell, read method.
Right.
And see how that works.
Good.
Okay. So we'll start with phonemic awareness, and then we'll move on to some phonics and decoding with the phonics word work. We'll use the folders.
Okay.
Okay. And then the phonics spelling will work into with the folders too. And then we'll move to high frequency words. And then the last part you want to be
The decodable.
yeah, the decodable. Okay. And this decodable is where you can work on the table tapping
Yes.
method. And we'll also scaffold in sometimes where they can work independently. For example, with your high frequency words, when you're saying think about the word, read the word, spell the word, read the word, so we can work on that too. Let's see, is there anything that you feel like maybe we need to work in? Anything else?
Well, phonemic awareness, phonics. No, this is good.
All right, and you may want to go over the short I real well
Okay.
with them. Just make sure that they reviewed that and they have a firm grasp of the I.
Okay.
A big confusion is the short I and short E. So we want to make sure and reiterate the short I sound. And looking at letters instead of looking at you. You
Yes.
feel like that's a problem,
Oh,
always
yeah.
looking at you. Another thing, when they're reading, if they're tapping, we want to immediately get them to stop tapping and slide.
Okay.
Good. So we want to work on that. And then when we're done, we'll think about the evidence we can see if we feel like this is working. And one thing we can do is sit down with them and maybe have them read that independently
Okay.
and see how they work through it by themselves. And that can kind of give you a little bit of a little assessment of whether you need to go back and teach it even again.
Right.
So that's our goal. We're working on a reading foundation skill, right?
Yes.
We're going to assess the students when we're done by having them read how fluently.
Okay.
Okay. Then, if we need to, we'll go back and adjust the lesson again.
Okay. Sounds good.
Does that sound good?
Sounds really good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.